Hi, and welcome to this week's video blog and some assembly required. I'm Sarah Hamriker, and I'm glad you joined me. Today I want to talk about the college admissions scandal. Now, I'm not going to rehash all the news of Operation Varsity Blues. Instead, I want to give you 5 ways that you can avoid your own college admissions scandal. Now, I'm not saying that you're going to be bribing officials, you're going to be sending in ringers to take your kids' SAT test. No, I'm going to give you 5 easy ways for you to not be so invested in your kids' college education, college admissions. Here you go. Number 1. These are mostly for parents and teenagers, but those of you with other kids, take notes because you're going to want to keep this in mind when your kids hit high school. Number 1, don't do the research on colleges for your teen. Just don't do it. Now, back in the dark ages, before the internet, and I know that's hard for many parents, younger parents, and many teens to really understand this, we got catalogs in the mail for our college, from potential colleges. And we had to sit down and sort through them all and decide, does this college have a program that I want to study or not? Now, my parents were certainly not involved in that. They said, hey, here you are, have at it. Not that they weren't interested, we could talk about it, but they wanted me to drive the conversations. They were not saying, hey, did you hear that the University of Maryland has this thing, this this program because you as the mom did the research. No, they expected me to do the research because, hey, they weren't going to college again. I was going to college. So don't do the research for your teen on the colleges. They can find it. If they can look up videos by their favorite K-pop band on YouTube and find out all the information about them, they can certainly get online and Google X idea for a major in colleges. Okay, they can do it. Let them do it. Then give them ownership of the application process. Yeah, don't do it for them. Don't remind them of deadlines. You tell them this is their responsibility, and if you need to do a part of it, they better get it to you before the deadline. Now, we went through this recently with my oldest daughter, who was applying for a kind of like a summer program through the State Department. Now, we didn't follow up on that. She had to follow the link that her advisor had sent her, fill out the information, make sure that she was checking with me because there was a parent part of it to make sure I had done it. She was the one who said, Mom, I need to get a medical form filled out. When can you make a doctor's appointment? By this date, she was the one who followed through on all of that because she is invested in that. I heard about a dad who was like, oh yeah, I got to go do my daughter's college application, or I have to sit with her while she does it to make sure she does it on time. I'm like, no, if your kid is not motivated to fill out an application on time and turn it all in with all the pieces, then they're probably not ready for college. Just saying. Okay, so that was number 2. Number 3, have the conversation about how they're going to pay for college before they get their heart set on that really expensive 4-year private school. Seriously, we need to have the hard talk with our kids sooner rather than later. And if that means that you and your spouse needs to sit down and figure out how you're going to pay for it, if you're going to do that, or what you can afford, or start thinking about encouraging them, hey, you might want to look at the scholarships. We're not talking about full ride scholarships, although if that's your kid, that's great. I'm talking more about there's lots of little scholarships out there, clubs your kid is involved with, programs that they do. Help them to start thinking about how they're going to pay for it and what that means. Number 4, encourage your teen to investigate alternatives to 4-year colleges. 4-year colleges are not for everyone. And sometimes they're not for everyone right now. Some kids are just not motivated. Why spend that money when they're just going to flunk out and have debt to pay back? Not a good idea. So think about community colleges. I know in the state of Virginia, you go to a community college and get your associate's degree. You can transfer that to any state school. It's great opportunity to save some money, get those core classes out of the way, and even some classes toward a major too. And especially if your kid doesn't quite know what they want to do, this could be a great way to kind of get started without a huge financial outlay. Consider gap years, consider volunteer, missions work, things like that for a year after school. Some kids just need a little more growing up to figure out what they want to do. Consider trade or technical schools. Hey, plumbing, carpentry, electrical work are never going to be outsourced. And let me tell you, those men and women make a good salary. And if your kid enjoys working with their hands, has that kind of mindset, why not? There's there's nothing wrong with that kind of hard work. That's needed, it's necessary, and a lot of people really enjoy it. So let's not discount that. And number 5, share with them your own education past. Let's face it, most of us did not go to an Ivy League school, and we're doing just fine. Now, I graduated from a private Christian school that nobody's ever heard of. Frankly, it didn't actually help me get my first job because of some connections through there, but it hasn't hurt me in the least in my freelance work. In my parent coach work, it hasn't hurt me at all. In fact, nobody asks me for where I went to school now. They stopped really asking that after I had my first job, really. And even my first job, it wasn't so much where I went to school, it was like, what did I do in school? I worked on a student paper. I had an internship at a local magazine. That was what got me a job. And the fact that I did have a degree, yeah, but not where I got that degree from. So let's make sure that we share those stories with our kids so that they know that, many of us come to our career paths not a straight line, and it's not a straight line through a prestigious school. So those are my thoughts on the college admission scandal. So I hope that they were helpful to you, and they're recapped here in the below this video. And also, I had a great talk with Dr. Ebony Booker Drew, Dr. Booker Drew, sorry, on my podcast, and there'll be a link under this video for that as well, on this topic of how we can help our kids launch into adulthood, and college, of course, being part of it. You've been listening to or watching Some Assembly Required's video blog of the week. I'm Sarah Hammaker, and I hope you join me next time.